NCIS, Tony and Ziva spins out of events of the flagship NCIS series, but those events actually happened several years ago. Tony, Michael Weatherly, and Ziva, Cote de Pablo, no longer work for the agency, which will make the series very different from the 5 other NCIS spin-offs before it. NCIS, Tony and Ziva is less of a procedural and more of an action thriller, but their relationship from the original series still plays into the events of the new show. Fans who might not have watched NCIS since the 2 starred will want to remember where Tony and Ziva left things with each other when they also left NCIS. Where Tony and Ziva's relationship ended in NCIS. Tony and Ziva standing at a bar in the NCIS episode Berlin. Image via CBS. While Tony debuted on NCIS in the backdoor pilot on JAG, Ziva did not join the series until season 3. When the two first met, their relationship was slightly antagonistic. Ziva, on loan from Mossad, was the sister of the man who had just killed Tony's partner. While that might not seem like a great jumping-off point for one of the most memorable will they won't they couples on television, it worked. The two had a banter and partnership that made them one of the best parts of their seasons on NCIS. They had missions that saw them trapped in shipping containers together, defending one another from potential murder charges, and even worked together to find those responsible for killing Ziva's father. Tony and Ziva worked undercover together and flirted with the idea of being more than friends, but during their time on the show, they were never actually in a romantic relationship together. Tony and Ziva's relationship timeline sees them hit a lot of TV drama relationship milestones, like a first kiss, without actually dating one another. By the time both characters left NCIS behind, it was clear that they cared for one another very much, and they could potentially have a relationship off-screen, away from the government agency that brought them together. Tony and Ziva have a daughter, Taylai. Taylai laughing while Tony talks to her in NCIS Tony and Ziva. Image via Paramount+. NCIS, Tony and Ziva will bring back one character that has not been seen since she was introduced in season 13 of NCIS. Taylai, now played by Isla G, is Ziva's daughter, whom no one knew existed until she was revealed to be the survivor of a fire on the David family property in Israel. Taylai's father is Tony, which certainly surprised both the audience and the rest of the NCIS team when they found out. At the time, Taylai was a toddler, which makes her a preteen for NCIS, Tony and Ziva's first season. With Taylai's inclusion in NCIS, Tony and Ziva, it marks the first time a child has been a main character in the franchise, which is sure to give the show a different dynamic than its predecessors. Why Ziva David left NCIS, and when? Michael Weatherly as Tony D'Inozzo and Cote de Pablo as Ziva David speak with each other on a couch in NCIS. Image via CBS. Ziva David left NCIS at the start of season 11. She returned to Israel after spending much of season 10 investigating the murder of her father. Ziva and Tony were paired up for much of the investigation, but Ziva chose to return to Israel after getting justice for her father's death. When Tony made the trip to visit her at the start of season 11, he realized that Ziva would not be coming back to NCIS with him. Tony spent time with her there, and their time in Israel served as a goodbye for them. The two even kissed on the tarmac before Tony boarded his plane. It was the first time they had kissed as themselves and not as part of an undercover operation on screen. Of course, Ziva did return to NCIS again, after everyone else already believed she was dead. The David farmhouse was blown up in season 13, and the only survivor was her daughter, Taylai, whom she named after her late sister. Tony might have thought she was dead, but Ziva lived a life on the run with people after her and her family. It was only after her investigation took her briefly back to NCIS and her life was safe that she even considered reuniting with Taylai. The audience was able to believe that Ziva would finally get her happily ever after following her last NCIS appearance in season 17. Why Tony D'Inozzo left NCIS, and when? Tony gives Taylai Ziva's necklace in NCIS Family First. Image via CBS. Just 2 years after Ziva David left NCIS, Tony D'Inozzo did as well. Tony left NCIS in season 13 after the team received the surprising news of Ziva's death. When Tony found out that Ziva was not the surviving David family member after an attack on their home, he was surprised to learn that she had a daughter. While the reveal offered some closure for their relationship, it also meant fans did not get to see the two of them have a real romance on screen. Tony decided to leave NCIS after finding out about Taylai's existence. He committed to raising his daughter and chose to move with her to Paris. Paris was the city Ziva once told him she loved most, so moving there was a great way for Tony to honor her memory, though he did initially believe Ziva faked her death. Tony and Ziva are now living in Paris with Taylai. Tony and Ziva kneeling down and talking to Taylai in NCIS Tony and Ziva. Image via Paramount+. NCIS, Tony and Ziva is set to pick up long after the NCIS agents left the team. While Tony originally left the flagship series to raise Taylor in Paris, Ziva decided to move there to be with them after her life on the run was over. Both Tony and Ziva are still in Paris and raising Taylor. Though neither of them works for NCIS anymore, they still put the skills to use they learned while working for government agencies. The official description for the spin-off series notes that Tony runs a private security firm. While the two are not together romantically, they are committed to raising their daughter together. NCIS, Tony and Ziva will explore what their relationship as co-parents is like and just how much of their previous feelings for one another still linger, all against the backdrop of an action thriller.